Welcome to the 3D Ghost universe, a place dedicated to 3D creation and 3D printing. In this video, I will talk about Ultimaker Cura, a free software that will help you to build the settings for your 3D printers. The software is compatible with almost every 3D printer, and you will be able to create your G-code file that you need to create a 3D printing. The scene of Ultimaker Cura is quite ergonomic and quite simple. You can move by grabbing things with your mouse, with the left button, or with the middle button to turn. So, left button to turn, middle button to grab. And of course, the grid that you are seeing right here is representing the bed of your 3D printer. You can change on the left corner right here the view. And then you can modify with your mouse. But the first thing that you will have to do is to prepare your 3D printer to tell to Cura what is your 3D printer. So you have to go here and then you have access to your 3D printer. I personally own two that you can see here. For adding your printer, it's very simple. You add a printer. If your printer is connected to your network or to your computer, you will have to choose this option. To be honest with you, most of the people are using SD or micro SD, so the printer is never connected to the computer. So you have to add a non-network computer, and then you will have access to a very, very long list of computers that are already existing or creating. In my case, for example, the brand is Creality. I have to find Creality. And then I have to find mine. So for Ender 3, classical one. And the CR10 V2 was not available. So I had to choose another one, a closest one with almost the same characteristic. And I changed the name right here. So I will not add one because it's already configured. Here you have, of course, where you can open a new object. Here you have the characteristic of the material you will use to print. So generic PLA with a classical 0.4 millimeters nozzle. If you click on it, you can change, and of course you can create your materials. For example, I created one, the ice filament, one of the first filament that I owned, but to be honest with you, you don't care. The information, the most valuable information about creating the filament is that you can put the price of the filament. So when you decided to create a piece, by the end of the settings, you will have the possibility to have the weight, the size, and the cost of the object that you will print. But we will stay with generic PLA, for example. If you want to know what is ABS, PUTG, TPU, you can check on YouTube to have the differences, or on Google to have the differences between the materials. I will not talk about it specifically in this video. Maybe I will do some tutorials with other materials in PLA, and then we will talk about this. But for the moment, we will stay on classic PLA. So, after adding your computer, after adding your materials, you will be able here to choose the kind of quality that you want for your printing. But before going so far, the first thing that you have to do is to add a 3D object. If you watch a previous video, we created a little dog in Paint 3D and we exported into a 3D object, and that's exactly that object that I will now open in Cura. So I can open via this, or I can simply do a drag and drop. Here we go. Do you remember when you created with paint, the object don't have any information about the size, and that's exactly why he is so small right here. Plus, the mesh tools included into Ultimaker Cura is telling me that the object is not watertight, so some part of the object may not be printed correctly. We will see that later. So when I have the object, I can click on it, and then with this panel, I will have the possibility to do some things on the object. And of course, the first thing is by using this to move the model. If I want to undo this, of course, Control Z, or simply reset all position after a right click. Here is the scale option, and I can change the scale. Uniform scaling will not destroy anything, and I can add, for example, a 0 here, and bam, my object is 10 times bigger. Okay, the object is now with a clean size. And if I want to know what is the real size in the real life, as you can see here, you have the dimensions. So maybe I want a 10 centimeters tall dog, so I can change it right here, sorry. Bam, it's huge, it's 1 meter. It's a big problem because it's really, really out. So I will go with the 10 centimeters. Okay, it's good. So now I can choose the rotation of the dog in order to decide how he will be printed. Simple, classical. Now I can decide to apply a mirror to the dog, and then I will change. Very strange. Okay, you understand the concept of the mirror. Now this is the per model settings. If I want to print different meshes together, and for the beginning we will not talk about this. Then you will have the support blocker and the custom support, something that you don't have at the very beginning of your utilization of Cura, because Cura, you can have some add-ons that are coming from the marketplace, and that's exactly what I will show to you right now by clicking on Marketplace. Then it will open the list of official plugins that you can add to your Cura. Okay, here we go. So you have the mesh tools, the setting guides that are already validated because I installed it. And you can see that I'm using custom support, mesh tools, and setup guide. So you can take a look at the plugins and decide what is good for you or not. This is not the purpose of this video. You have to know that I'm using custom support, mesh tools, and setup guide. Setup guide is important because it's explaining to you each and every settings that you have here with a kind of pop-up, and this is easy to understand at the beginning. So if I decided to print this dog, I will have to change the setting right here. You have the recommended settings, very basic, but you will quickly go to custom settings that you prefer. But this specific part of Cura will be in the part 2 of this video with a presentation of the settings that I'm using. So I will close that and I will not talk about it in this video because I think it's a global topic that deserves a video, a specific one. So we will just talk about the dog for the moment. So as you can see, he is cute, but he is quite strange because when you are looking, you have all the polygons right here that you are seeing, and when you will print the object, you will see that. But if you remember, I will open it in 3D viewer, the dog was quite smooth. And the explanation of that is that in Paint 3D, where we created this dog, you have an automatical smooth option, a smooth option that is artificial, that is made on your computer, but that is not affecting the mesh. So the mesh is not as smooth. Of course, you don't have the color in the 3D printing, you understand why, and if you don't, you just have to watch the video about 3D object that I made earlier. But the fact that you don't have the smooth effect, once again, it shows you that Paint 3D and 3D Builder by Microsoft are fun software to begin to try to create, but are not the best software to work with in order to have a perfect 3D print. It's much better to, maybe you want to begin to create with Paint 3D and then you have to export it and to import it into Blender and modify that. I will have a specific video about it, but you have to know that if you have the sensation that you don't have exactly the same object, it's simply because it have an artificial smoothing effect on the Microsoft software that you cannot have in your 3D print. So let's say that we want this dog to be printed. As you can see, you have some red part here, and obviously when it's red, it's a problem in the software. It's a way to say it will be strange, and the fact that it's red right here means that the mesh will need some support, and we will prepare a preview of what will happen during the printing, and you will understand why the software, why Cura, is asking you to create support. So let's click on Slice, and then you will have a simulation of what the printing will be. And the first information that we have is that the printing will be quite long. Yes, you have to know that 3D printing is long, and if you want to go faster, if you want to increase the speed of your 3D printer, you will have some troubles. The printing will not be good, so you have to be patient if you want to have a good object. And then you will have some information about the filament, about the weight that you will use, and about the length of the filament that you will use. After clicking on Slice, you can go to Preview by clicking here or by clicking here. If we go to Preview, then we will be able to discover how your printer will print your dog. Here you have all the layers that will compose your 3D printing. If we go to layer 1, this is the first thing that your printer will do, and then you can see a simulation of the nozzle, and it will design the first layer. And as you can see, it's quite strange to have the first layer on the back and not on the front. It's quite strange, and it will be a problem. If I'm going here to see the different layer, you will see that at the very beginning it will print the back and not exactly at the same time the front, so it's a problem, but a little problem. But let's continue the printing. So as you can discover, from the bottom to the top, it's printing, it's printing, it's printing. Okay, and we have something strange here. Your printer is telling you that it will print something here, but you cannot print if there is nothing here. As you can imagine, when the plastic will go out of the noodle, if it's not touching anything, it will drop. So the print will not be okay, and that's exactly why Cura is telling you that it will need some support. If we continue, you will understand the point. You cannot print right here on an empty area. It's very strange. You need a support from the floor to the object in order to print. And this case is exactly the same right here. So you will not have and right here. So you will not be able to print it without any support. So you have to decide to create support, and then you will have to slice a new type. And Cura will create automatic support. I will do a specific video about support because it's an important part of 3D printing, because with bad support you will not be able to print. With bad support it will be really hard to disconnect the support and the object, and you will destroy your object. And sometimes Cura will propose you too many support and you will waste a lot of plastic. So it's good to have an automatic way to create it, but sometimes you can optimize the support. But if we go back to our print, then you will see you have some support here, and then your print will not be on an empty area. It will be print on the support, and then you will be able to print correctly your dog. Alright, and as you can see, you have the creation of little supports right here to solve the problem of the first layer. But to be honest with you, having so small support, it's a problem, because it's very hard for the printer to print so small parts. But it's not a problem right here. The only thing that you have to remember now is that Cura will really help you to get a real good print by adding some automatics settings and some automatics support. So it's now the end of the video. I don't want to talk more about this because we will have a specific point about the settings and a specific point about the supports and the way to print really efficiently.